Well, what's up, everybody? We're here with another interview with North Philadelphia's own Morgan Garrett. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
In one place.
Yes, in one place. We're here. Speaking of one place, how's your tour been? You've been in a lot of places.
I have been. Yes, it was great. I flew out to Arizona and met up with the band Yahweh Nailgun, who I was on tour supporting for maybe two and a half weeks or so. I just got back on Friday.
Yeah. We reviewed that their new album, and we were at the show that y'all did here. And Julia's a big Yahweh Nailgun fan. She was kind of the proponent of making sure that review is a priority. And then whenever we saw you were on the tour, it's like, oh, that's awesome.
Oh, great! Yeah, I was happy to see you out there.
Yeah. Did the band come with for the whole thing, or was it just you on those other dates?
It was only me, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still great.
Yeah.
Just myself, but I think it would have been exciting to have all of us.
Yeah,
that was actually our first show, first performance is that unit.
Okay.
So that was.
Well, it didn't look like the first. It was good.
Oh, good. That's good. Good feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, we were really happy with it. But,
yeah.
We'd like to do more for sure.
Nice. All right. I have some questions here. Some might just have made sense in my head and then not. The only other artist we've interviewed is My Wife's an Angel. We've done exactly one in the past. Have you met them?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I assume you've run into them at some point. I think like early on I asked them if they knew you and they said no, but that was like right when they started as a band.
Yeah, we probably met like 2 years ago, year and a half ago.
Okay, yeah.
But I felt like our correspondence became a little more intimate the past like 9 months.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right, so I only found one. Have you only done like one interview that got put into print with somebody before?
Print?
Because I saw I Googled like interview, like if you had been interviewed, just so I'm not asking you the exact same questions, and I just saw like one.
Yeah, there may be the one in print on, which one, what did you find?
I don't remember the name of the website. I'm not gonna lie.
It might have been Foxy Digitalis. I did a more extensive like audio interview with Adam Lair, System of Systems. That was like maybe 6 months ago.
Okay.
But
Well,
print maybe only that one.
If any of this is duplicate, then. But in that interview that you did, I saw that you mentioned worship music as like a early musical experience that kind of influenced you. Do you find that sound influencing what you do now, either like through the actual sound or like the themes or the philosophy behind what you do, or on any level?
I think actively, I am not sure. I'm sure to the degree of like being on the stage and like lighting and sound being dialed in, which I guess would go for ideally anyone in a serious performance environment.
Yeah.
But referencing just like the man on the stage, pastor, it's the same. But I'm not thinking about it too much outright. But I would say I have this interest in like extracting the filter that's on all of that music. I don't know what it is. I know it's the mixing. It's the arrangements. It's the mixing. It's the mastering. So actively, no. But I would love to just copy and paste the like sonic qualities of that and just put it over my own music.
Yeah,
somehow.
that shimmer that they have. Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. It's like you scan on the radio. And you can, or at least I can. I'll be like, Christian.
Yeah,
you can just pause it. And you just know.
Yeah.
But I don't know actively. Like, let me see. What was it again? Did you have that one on there?
Well, it was just based on like, I didn't. I was just like, oh, interesting. You like grew up in a church environment and
definitely like he is jealous of me.
Yeah.
That song. Yeah. That kind of song.
Yeah. I kind of. Like, I kind of halfway know that sort of world because I, like, grew up going to a Catholic church where we did not have, like, those kind of worship music, but I also grew up in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is a town where everyone else was into that.
Oh, yeah. I understand that, yeah. The church that I went to had... It was a little more conventional because it was, like, a rock band.
Yep.
The praise and worship band with the pedals and
Fenders,
and I liked that, but... Yeah, so I was exposed to that there, and
Yeah.
you know, some of the more like intense, less like rock Christianity and like, fire and brimstone stuff. But what I went to for of choice was a more serene, like approachable, you know, like Christian church.
Right. No trapeze happening.
No, nothing. Yeah, not not that I remember.
Yeah. That makes sense. This is something else I just kind of thought of that goes along with that. But do you think that a generation of kids that were raised on this like shimmery sounding worship music has had something to do with the rise of shoegaze as like the main outlet of like indie rock / indie pop?
Well, it's gotta. And now that now that you mention it, I'm like, maybe they are the ones that actually got the shimmer effect.
Yeah.
So that may be they must have some kind of equation.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna figure it out. I'll send an email.
Yeah.
But I think, I kind of wonder. Maybe it'll stop at a certain age, because I wonder what it's like now. Like the churches that you and I are talking about from maybe 2009. Or something.
Yeah.
Do they still exist in that way?
I don't know. I feel like the collision course between them and like Americana and country music was coming. Like it's been coming for like decades. I feel like if they're not there, they're gonna be there soon, and that might be like a form of like a way that the music kind of goes in that direction. I don't know.
Wow, it's like Jelly Roll.
Yeah, like
Jelly
that,
Roll,
yeah.
Jelly Roll on God. He's probably Christian.
I think he
godly.
is. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I lived in Nashville for a bit, so I was also around all that world. And because the Christian music industry is like big business there. So you'll be like, what? This guy knows this guy, and these guys all like go to the same church or whatever, and it's like a bunch of like country stars that you would have never guessed.
Wow, interesting.
So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that like works its way in, but
it's gotta.
Yeah.
That's it. I would have never thought about the shoegaze overlap, but they're probably a lot of like Christian kids.
Yeah, because that's also like my image of like people who are like into like really into that like vein is like, you know, it's like alternative and indie, but it's not like experimental, you know. It's like some sort of like safe opposition.
Yeah, guitar. Yeah, safe rock guitar.
Yeah,
that's cool. Actually, that's a funny thought. Maybe that's what makes it kind of there's like a uniform sound. In that Christian way. It's like you hit the scan button. Maybe it's kind of similar. Like it's difficult for me to dissect the nuance of music that's like that. Not to say that I don't enjoy it, but in a similar way, the Christian scan button. I'm kind of like, I'm like, I don't really know what I'm hearing the differences on, but that's fine.
Yeah. No, that's I think you're right. I think that like that same set of influences is going to produce stuff that sounds roughly similar.
I wonder what's next.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna kind of go on to a different line of questions here. So you talked about purity being like a trauma response in the like liner notes and you know when you talk about the album. How quickly did the album come together? Is it like a chronological look at your processing of these like traumatic events over time, or was it all like the immediate? Like, is the album like us listening into the 30 minutes after, or is it like the like mental reconstruction?
I'd say mental reconstruction. I probably like didn't really do much for a couple weeks.
Right.
It just was sort of like a little like confused, and then decided to just like kind of write the songs as they came up, and then I would finish one and then proceed onto another song, and then proceed. So probably in the span of like May or June through December was the actual like songwriting.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was like one song a week, or like one song every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it was more, it was like chronological.
Okay.
And
they stayed in that order mostly?
That's a very good question. No, not actually. The first song, Alive, was maybe the first or second song. That might have actually been.
Okay.
Now that you mention it.
Oh.
The last... it may actually be fairly close to the order, which is a really interesting thought.
That makes it easy to tie together like a narrative arc. It's like your like thoughts as they progressed.
Oh, wow, yeah. And then really to see how much maybe the lyrics reflected the circumstance, because they weren't all like explicitly written. It was probably like half written lyrics, like iPhone notes, and half like it's kind of freestyled or constructing the lyrics after the fact, just based on the sounds. Yeah. But even then, so it's like, oh, this all was pretty cohesive. It seemed to be relevant to my environment. I mean, I guess maybe anything would be, but this seemed more like a outright propulsion, which is why I referenced the, like, oh, this thing happened and now I'm making this. But it really was that like sort of panicked shift into something where I'm just sort of like tunnel vision. But it was almost chronological now that you mention it. Oh. I'd have to look at it a little more closely.
Yeah, and really see if there's any big moves there, or if they're mostly stayed.
Yeah.
Is that so? Since it was so like situational and of the environment and the time and everything, does that mean the next album is going to be a pretty big like aesthetic difference, or is it gonna still be in the same vein?
That's a good question. I would assume the main difference would be incorporating more of the live.
Gotcha.
Full band, the drums and electric guitar. Okay. There was drums and electric guitar on the last record, but this single I have out, The Mirror, has Jackie McDermott, my drummer, playing live drums, and it's entirely the drum sound. There's no like drum samples in it, which I wouldn't be opposed to using on any other music.
Oh right, yeah.
But I would say. I would imagine it'll effectively be my music and identifiable as that. If somebody has that perception of what I make, it's like, oh, that's his sound. Yeah, I feel like it'll probably sound like that, but maybe with like some more lively or room sound elements to it. Probably the same. It'll probably be acoustic guitar and some destroyed orchestra sound. Probably. I just like that, so I'm like, well, we'll try that.
Yeah, totally. No, the acoustics, like, the whiplash into the acoustic sections gets me every time. That's
oh wow, oh good.
Yeah, I've been big into that, so I'm glad that's not going away, even though you got the full band.
I can't help it. Yeah, no, I have an acoustic guitar, and so I'm like, pluck on it and moan over it and sing. So I'm like, oh, that was.
Yeah,
I'll probably keep doing that too.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you like that kind of style. So that's cool.
Yeah, you have this like very like individual like stage presence and performance that I don't think I've seen anyone else do anything like quite like what you're doing with your stage presence and like what you do and the choreography and all of that stuff. Did the stage show and how it was going to work play out as you were writing the songs, or was it entirely I'm just gonna write right now and then I'll think about performing it later, or were you like mentally performing it as you were writing it?
It was more of a writing of the music and then performing it later.
Gotcha.
I think at some point when I started, the album would have been done and mastered and fully out, maybe not public or maybe public, and then I was like constructing the set to know like, okay, this will be here, and then I would start imagining like, what am I going to do in this moment, or like, where will I be standing, or how am I going to design the lights? Like, so that was all just an afterthought. And even some of the decisions of like, am I just going to do guitar over this or vocals, wasn't even necessarily until like I may have just opened the file and just started rehearsing over top of it, and then be like, oh, actually, let me just do this like funny little trick here. What not the performative element, it's almost like I feel like I could just like stand on the stage and stare and just be completely content with that. Like, oh wow, I'm very proud of myself. Like anything that comes after that with like intention, that's fine. So I'm not too concerned, because I'm like, oh, I can still just be who I am, and people will receive that. I'm not gonna like push it to an extreme where it's like I'm not gonna do anything, but it's it's kind of an afterthought because it's like, well, I know that I'll be able to, if I physically can move, I can be lively, but
yeah, you'll be able to like come up with something. You're not like writing something and then worried it's like, how is this going to happen at all? And so, like you can do it. Yeah,
I can do it.
Yeah.
But I would be interested if the music making took me in some direction where it's like some like wildly minimal music, or it's like completely introspective or like very quiet or something, and be like, I may be a bit more like befuddled at how to approach that.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I gonna force like doing some like bizarro dance on stage? I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Nice.
Probably not, but we would see.
Nice. Because your visual style on stage is just so, it's, at least to me, it just seems like such a put together, aesthetically complete thing that works so well with the album. Is there like any form of visual media that plays in as a major influence? So that would be, I don't know, like movies, like filmmakers you like, movies you like, like even like painting, like album covers, like things that are like, this is like where I got the idea to do that, or like has the same energy or something like that.
Definitely any David Lynch films, sections of his movies with like the strobe lights or Club Silencio. Those were just so like astounding. The moments of that, I was just like so struck by that. I wouldn't say I'm much up on like really deep film or visual art.
Well, me neither, but
I would like to be.
It's
not something I seek, but I do know outright that I can say like David Lynch's visual aesthetics and the sound too, in those moments or in other moments as well. That's probably the greatest influence in terms of other art. That it's like maybe it wasn't even intentional, but it's like if I'm setting up these lights, which I don't really know what I'm doing, but it's like, okay, it works. I can use my laptop. It can communicate with the lights, and I push this button and it flickers. I think subconsciously I know I've seen this on a screen, so it works right here. So I'm like, oh my God, if I'm standing in front of it and it's my music, I can at least expedite the process and know like, oh, okay, I can. This is going to look good. So I'm happy. That's kind of how that worked.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. No, I mean, we got into a little bit of a David Lynch watching phase, especially after he died. And it was I had just like not too long before that finished watching Twin Peaks beginning to end, and that was like, I don't know. Like I'm not super up on any of that stuff either, but that stuff is awesome.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it. I would like to go back through the season 3 again.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yes. I haven't finished it. Well, I finished it in my life, but I haven't finished it. A recent rewatch, I guess.
Yeah. No, that ending, it pissed a lot of people off, but I was like, I feel you, David. I'm with you on this.
Oh, yeah. Why not? You can do whatever.
Exactly.
It's fine. I'll take it. I took whatever, and I was like, oh my God, the episodes just kept going. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you see what you're doing as a part of any like broader movement? Like, do you see another artist or a group of artists that kind of got clued into the same sound around the same time, or are tapping into the same energy, or just really on like even just on like a vibes level, somebody who's like on your wavelength who you could always call up to like gig with? Or do you think that this is a movement or a community or just a few people, or like what's happening?
I think in like the immediate time, and I feel like I can say this just from coming off the tour with Yahweh Nailgun, there felt like a kind of a kindred spirit amongst us all, maybe in a friendly way, but I think we were just witness to people's response to our respective performances in a way that was like individual, but it also fit in some like larger sensibility. And who that contains, I'm not exactly sure. But it felt like there was something in this realm of what we're doing. Maybe it's like through the performance or the like care with the the sound production. I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But there felt like some overlap in what we were doing. We were like, wow, this is kind of a moment in like a snapshot in something in reality.
Yeah.
Where we're like, oh, okay, this is what we're doing. But who else? I'm not 100% sure. But I would say in my like lifetime, you know, I've had like various, you know, performative like, you know, friendships and mentorships like Zach Coons, Rick Weaver, Shane Riley. Those are like three people that have all kind of produced music and performance in ways that I've been witness to for 10 to 15 years that have been pretty like, I don't know, whether they're like active and touring in this way that I'm currently doing. There's like sort of a timeless element to that I feel like I share with all of them in the music and performative elements, but all very distinctly unique artists from one another, but old friends of mine. But I feel like right now there's something like I was saying to this this tour that I did with Yahweh. So it's like, who else in the immediate? I'm not really sure. I'm not really like stepping out in the same way that I did like a few years ago. This is like if I'm not at work, like this is really literally like all that I'm doing. Yeah. Like it's I know that it's like I can make sense of like, oh, this probably makes sense to play with them, but in like the I don't know. It seems silly to say, but I do know what's going on for sure because I can make moves and, you know, message people, but I'm like a little bit out of touch with like what's like immediately happening. Although I'm saying both things. I know what's going on, but I don't. Yeah. So I don't know what I'm really talking about.
But that, I mean, well, that makes sense. It's like you know who to call if you want to put a show together, but you're not consciously part of like, you know, you would if you were to like make the playlist for the Morgan Garrett fan, it wouldn't come together immediately for you.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Like I'm not seeing as much performances. Like you can get a gauge of things on somebody's visual aesthetics on their Instagram or like the, you know, there's things I can surmise pretty quickly, but to be like, whoa, I saw this act perform. It's like I just am kind of missing out on that a little bit. Not that I'm longing for that, but it's like where maybe like, well, 4 years ago, nobody was doing that. Even 2 years ago would have been a little different than it is now. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, that makes sense. But as long as you get people in a room, you know, and y'all definitely were getting asses in seats with that tour, you know? Like,
it was great.
Yeah, no, like you're definitely tapping into something, and if it doesn't exist already, what that means is it's coming, you know? There'll be other people making art in a similar vein for sure.
It seems that way. Yeah, I think that was the sense we had. Whether it's active or it's you know, in some other parts of the world.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure yet, but there was a sense of like everyone's kind of like straightened up a little bit, like wow, that's cool. Right. So that's just how it was. So it was like felt good.
Yeah, that's something that you especially get as like the opener. It's like there is a, you know, a lot of people are like familiar with you, but you're like, you know, they might be like super fans of that other, you know, like headlining band, but then whenever you like watch in somebody's eyes that they like get it in real time, like, you know, they're like, now you've like won them over and they're like super into it and it took them by surprise. That's awesome. Like that's
it was a lot of that.
Yeah,
it was that every night for sure. So it was like we kind of knew going into it. It was like, you know, it was essentially just the two of our acts. When I joined, there was like, well, it wasn't really an opener. There was one opener in Salt Lake City, but it was sort of like I knew what to expect after a couple of shows, and then, you know, you'd see like a group of like 10 seemingly kids. A lot of the shows were all ages, if not all of them. I didn't pay that close attention, and I'm like, they're definitely here for this headlining band. But then you know, I do my thing, records. I go to my laptop, and then you're like, oh my god, you know. So I'm like I heard it every night. I'm like, man, what a thrill. That was like, it was awesome. It was awesome.
That's oh, that's great.
It was cool.
And it I mean, that just points out how well that was all planned. Y'all are a great combo.
Plan. Yes, it was a great plan. Whoever's pulling the gears there. Yeah. big kudos.
Hell yeah. Okay, this is just one I thought about earlier. I don't know if this makes any sense. This might have just made sense in my head, but so I was noticing, I was like going back and you know, naturally listening to your music, and I was just noticing how frequently you use silence as, if not an instrument, as like a tool. You know, you like leave empty space between moments of this like intense energy, and it, you know, you see a lot of people doing that, but not like the percentage of artists who are going in that direction is small and getting smaller, I feel like. So do you think is the natural state, like, bear with me here, so the trauma response, the mental space from which, you know, the album originated, did the album arise out of the silence, and those silent moments are us like getting a glimpse into that headspace, or was the noisy, chaotic music the headspace, and the silence is like the anomaly, the break from it?
Wow, that's awesome. I think I do understand. Yeah. Like, it's a very smart question. I appreciate it a lot. I would say the music is probably, wow. Maybe it's easy to say because I don't know that I can like really reference the moments so like spiritually with just time passing. Maybe that being the only factor. I would assume the music is the sort of, my instinct says the music is the chaotic element of it, and the silence would be the what, like the peace? Yeah, the peace. Yeah, maybe that's what my instinct says. Yeah, that's a great question that I don't. I wish I had like a. I wish I could articulate a better response, but I think your question poses a more interesting, like, thing to ponder that's applicable to me or anybody that listens to the music or just any other circumstance in that regard. More interesting than like an answer I'm going to try to like come up with in real time. So that's the answer, is for you to somebody else to consider that. Yeah, because I don't have I just can't.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I don't know. I we could just throw in some questions that I feel like, you know, it's a artist interview. We got to do these ones. What's somebody you're a huge fan of that you think would catch people off guard? Phrasing it as a guilty pleasure is really stupid, but like something that's way different from what the music you make, that if people heard, they'd be like, oh, I would have never thought.
Maybe Yeet.
Hell yeah.
Yeet, who I listen to all the time.
Yeah, is that what you're listening to at the gym?
Well, what I'm listening to at the gym is probably one of two things. It's either Brat or it's Cold Visions by Blade. Yeah. So it depends on the length of the workout. Yeah. So it's like one of the two will get me ripping through both. But in my car, I put on The Bell, which is like a single by Yeet. Okay, yeah. So I just, like, if I drive to work, this is just the past 2 days. It's like an 18-minute drive, so I listen to it like 5 times, just nice. It just plays. Yeah, it just plays. I'm just listening to it. Yeah. So maybe Yeet. I don't know if that's an odd one because he seems like such a popular artist.
I mean, you know, it's definitely different from the music you make, so that counts.
It's mostly rap. I pretty much mostly listen to rap.
That's cool.
Yeah, Future. Maybe that's another odd one. Yeah. You guys listen to Monster.
Have you ever been on like a mostly hip hop bill? Like, have you ever played on a show that's like other? No.
No, I would love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that could go well.
Oh yeah, I think it would be great. Yeah. Yeah, I would love to do that. I don't think I've ever been on a hip hop bill. Oh. Yeah, it would make sense. Maybe especially, that would make sense. Yeah,
I think it would be cool. It's like I used to book shows that were kind of like that when I lived in Nashville. It's like it would just be like people who we thought their energy lined up, but it's like, you know, there's no surface level connection. And there'd be people who, it's like there was this like hip hop collective that we were like, you know, I had a good tie with, and we would bring them in and then have like an outlaw country band or like a punk band or you know, like other things like that, or somebody more in the like you know, like you mentioned Blade, like somebody who's into more of the like cloud rap thing instead of like this rage style which these guys were doing. That and it was like every time it was like people, you would see the look of like what the hell is this, and then people would be like, you know, nodding their heads along, like they'd be with it, you know.
That's fun. Yeah, it sounds fun. Yeah, I enjoy like that kind of bill. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun to catch people off guard, and then people would like show up even if they weren't into like even if they were like didn't know who any of them were. They're just like, oh, I just know I'm gonna like see some weird shit.
Definitely.
I know I'm gonna learn something, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah, learn something. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna learn something.
Yeah.
Maybe that's all it is. Yeah. Somebody needs to show me something.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for coming by, and I know we're just down the street, but thanks for coming by.
It's a pleasure. No, it worked out great. Timing was great. Right on the way home. So.
Yep. Just got back from the tour. I'm surprised you had gas in the tank, but
we're moving, man. We're cruising right along.
Oh, I guess this is a question I asked them, and I'm curious, just because I moved here from out of state. What was your favorite place you went on tour?
On tour, favorite place was Los Angeles, as always.
Okay, as always. That's
always loved going to back to LA. I lived out there for a year in 2018.
Okay.
But I always got friends I could see, and shows are always well attended, and people wearing weird clothes. And it's nice out. Everything's good. So that was great. Vancouver too. I'd never been to Vancouver. Nice. I'd never been there, so it was like different area of Canada. It was like, wow, it was great. Yeah, beautiful city. Like approaching it, I was like, oh my god,
drop dead gorgeous. Yeah, I did go there one time, and it looks like the fucking like Emerald City from Wizard of Oz.
It's beautiful.
We
were all stunned, like because we were like Vancouver.
You're thinking Toronto, Montreal. These places just kind of look like cities you've been to before.
I think we were kind of stunned into silence. In that. Like we were just like, what is this? We were like, is this going to be a good? And then everyone there was really attentive.
Nice.
And Vancouver.
Nice.
Vancouver. Cool. Big Vancouver.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. The last my wife said, I don't know if they said this because they thought I wanted to hear it, but they said Memphis, and I was like, oh hell yeah, Tennessee baby.
Wow, Memphis. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I don't think I've ever been to Memphis. Never been there.
They got like a pretty good scene for like heavy music and stuff. I think you could definitely find your people there.
Cool. Oh, that'd be great. I've got a buddy down in that area, Nick Lowry. He's in Memphis or Mississippi area down in that
all
zone.
Tied in.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming by.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Hell yeah. Go listen to Purity and is the single a precursor to an EP or record that's coming, or is it a work in progress, wait and see what it turns into kind of situation?
I'd like it to be part of a record.
Okay.
But there's no music that exists yet aside from that.
Well, there you go. So get ready for something.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah.